This is Mile High.
Do I want to tell the story or do I want to show the message?
You've got a lot of work to do between Mile High.
The time has come where we can know
we have a responsibility, an ethical and moral responsibility.
We have to do it better in order to move people along.
Up, down, inside out.
If you get your mind right, it is not. It is a receiver of thought. Because love is my first technique.
it's now time for the show.
Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles. Thank you for joining us for whatever altitude you're at. We are at Mile High altitude. And make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss any Mile High tick. Whether you are listening, watching on Spotify or iTunes or on YouTube, always be tuned into Tick. And there's also a Mile High app where you can listen to Mile High podcasts on the go. And also dial into being with us in September for Mile High 13. Don't let the 13 scare you. RiseToMileHigh.com is where you can get the 411. Today, I have to tell you, I'm especially thrilled to be here with our guest, Dr. Nicole Bonner, who's a Parker Chiropractic College grad, and she's been chiropractic for 25 years, close old friend of myself and Dr. Rochelle. I'm so thrilled that she's going to be on Mile High stage this calendar year. We go way back. And for over the last 15 years, she's been a mentor coach for two very accomplished chiropractic business coaching companies. And now she's focused on Thrive Chiropractic Coaching, as well as supporting her own practice and people opening other practices. Thank you for taking your valuable time to be with us and to give to the Mile High audience today, Dr. Nicole Bonner.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks for having me. And yes, we do go way back. So it's a pleasure to be here with you today, to see you face to face. And I'm so looking forward to seeing you in person in September.
Yes, myself and Rochelle couldn't say that more. To dial in a little bit more for our audience, Dr. Nicole and I were mentors in a mentor program that changed my life, changed hers for many, many years, for helping other docs. And I learned so much, and we had lots of great times together. So I'm so thrilled to see her at Mile High this calendar year. And let's start off with people getting to know you a little bit better. Tell people a little bit why you ended up down the path of becoming a chiropractor and how that happened.
Yeah, so for me, it was I think we all say we feel like we're born to be chiropractors, right? So when I think my story really started when my mom was pregnant with me. When my mom was pregnant with me, it was the mid 70s, and she happened to be a smoker. And the obstetrician told her it was okay, like go ahead and keep smoking through your pregnancy. It'll help calm your nerves. And she did. And so her pregnancy was seemingly normal. My delivery was seemingly normal, and even like my first year or two, seemingly normal, like development. And then one day, my mom and dad took me to a friend's house, and I had my very first allergy-induced asthma attack. And Danny, that attack was so bad, my lungs stopped breathing, bronchial tube swelled up, closed off the airways. They rushed me to the hospital, and I was in an oxygen tent for 4 weeks. And so that was the start or the beginning of really what was a really unpleasant childhood, because my health was in the trash. I was allergic to everything. I was one of those kids that was on antibiotics every 2 weeks, strep throat all the time. And every single time I got a cold, I would get asthma. And so by the time I was in the 6th grade, I was significantly overweight. And by the time I was in like 7th and 8th grade, I would go to school, come home, sleep for 2 hours, do my homework, eat dinner, and go to bed. And probably looking back now, it was probably somewhat of a depression, because I always pictured myself as this like athletic, kind of outgoing individual. But when I was experiencing my health breaking down, I wasn't who I envisioned myself to be. I couldn't even run from like one wall to the other in gym class, forget it. And then when I was about 16 years old, I got a job in a chiropractic office. And that was kind of fascinating because my whole life I wanted to be a medical doctor. The chiropractor at that time, it's Dr. Anita Milan, you know her. She's phenomenal chiropractor. She's also a very strong woman. She said, if you want this job, you need to go ahead and get adjusted. So I was like, oh, okay, right? And yeah. And I'll never forget my first adjustment. It was I when she gave me an adjustment, I could literally feel like the life flow back into my body, and I was like, oh my God, is this what life is supposed to feel like? And so my body healed. My body got stronger. As my body got stronger, I was eating better. I was able to work out, and the rest is history. I got stronger. My immune system got stronger, got off all of the medications, and I haven't had a puff on an inhaler in 30 something years.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And that spurs so much passion. I didn't know that at all. So, wow, pretty amazing. So then further moving forward, you ended up at Parker College.
Yeah, I ended up at Parker because at that time, I ended up there. It was right after Jim Parker passed away, and I was really drawn to the Parker principles, and so that's why I ended up there.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So then, getting out of practice and just like opening your doors, was it like an overnight success?
No.
What was that like?
That's probably why I feel called to help people open practices. So my experience was I obviously have a huge passion, a huge heart for chiropractic. And when I was in chiropractic school, I did actually hire a business coach who was very, very good. And that coaching did a really, really great job in teaching me how to bring people into my door, how to brand, how to market, like what to do to get new patients. But somewhere along the line, I missed the part of how to keep the patients.
Ah.
So when I opened my doors, I actually had 90 new patients on my schedule over the course of like that first month of practice. Yeah, I was really good at it. But where the problem came is that I didn't know what to do with them once I got them through the door. And so I lost like half of them.
Right.
And so that was a huge motivation for me wanting to work with people who are opening practices, because it's not just about your patient systems, although that's a big part of it, patient communication. But it's also about the things that you and I would consider to be the little things, like, right, how to bill a patient or something like that, or how to set up your schedule.
Right. Yeah. Well, and there's an art to that. And if you have no idea, those potential patients become one and done, there for a few visits. Does my pain go away? As compared to towards lifetime wellness practice members. And ultimately the people that lose out is, I know it's a business loss for you and me, but ultimately the people that lose out is the practice member that then lose out on the gift of chiropractic.
That's true. That's true. And even from the business perspective, it wasn't like that much of a loss because I had so many new patients coming through the door. I was really good at getting new patients, right?
Right.
So you're absolutely right. It was a disservice to the patient. And then you and I know that, and I starting to change. This belief system, I think, is starting to change. But back then, I think when we opened our practice, the belief system for many non-chiropractic people was, oh, I tried a chiropractor, I'm never going back, kind of thing.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So then how did you end up on the path of shifting that?
A great mentor. Actually, our mentor, Dr. John Madeira. I worked for his sister for about a year before I opened my practice. And then he decided to start coaching and mentoring chiropractors. And as soon as I heard that he was coaching, I just like jumped on his bandwagon because I felt that he had something special. And he did, right, Danny? I mean, John is a special guy. And so I just, total laziness, in all transparency, I just said, John, just tell me what to do and I will do whatever you tell me to do. Like, as long as it's legal and ethical, I will do it. And he did. And and it was like magic. Like, he told me what to do. I did what he told me to do and it worked. And then so the practice got momentum and then went into the 400s, 500s, and then 600s.
Right. So, and then, what are some of like those one or two keys that were transformational at that point that people need to know so they don't have the same kind of challenges that you did?
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll just share with you like a gem that John shared with me. There was a point where I had gained a lot of momentum, the practice was growing, and then I hit a ceiling. And I remember having a heart to heart with John, and I think I was even crying on the phone. And I said, I know I was created for more than this. I know that I am. I said, what's different between me and the people who are like seeing volume? And I think he prefaced it a little bit. This was a long time ago, but I think he prefaced it a little bit. He's like, okay, I'm going to be totally honest with you. Can you handle it? And I'm like, John, I can handle it. And he said, he goes, I don't know what the difference is between the two of you. He said, but one of the things that I do notice about all high volume chiropractors and people that serve a lot of people is just their passion. Their passion and their purpose is so strong for the principle, they almost can't help themselves from sharing it. They almost can't help themselves for going out into the community because it's like seeping from them. And I was like, at first I was like, my ego got in the way, you know how your ego, like girls have egos too, by the way. It's not just dudes. But at first my ego was like, I'm passionate about chiropractic, like I love the philosophy. And really I just like, I just had to dig deeper is what it was. I just had to like dig deeper.
Yeah, and that's something when someone mentors you that like happens is that you don't see what you're doing and they have different eyes. And it's such a gift to have someone help you. So what's one of the most frequent challenges that you help doctors with when they're opening practice, you help them overcome?
That's such a great question. And coming out of school, they have so many challenges with opening practice. And I do want to say one thing about this because I feel like a lot of chiropractors kind of bash our schools for not preparing people to open practices. And I don't at all. Through the lens that I see things through, I don't really think it's the school's job to and I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me on this, but I don't think it's the school's job to teach you how to be an entrepreneur or a business owner. It's the school's job to teach you to be an exceptional chiropractor, an exceptional doctor. And so that's something that I kind of feel strongly about because I think our schools are actually doing an excellent job. There are a lot of schools out there, I think they're doing a great job. But there's a lot of things that people need help with when they decide to cross the bridge from being a chiropractor into being a chiropractor and a business owner. One of those things, or one of the first things that we have to tackle is where do they find money to open their practice? So, you do need, I teach people how to open practices with lower overhead, but you do need some money to open a practice. And so, these guys, as you know, are coming out with a couple $100,000 in student loans, and the banks are not really forthcoming with giving them more money to open their business, right?
Right.
And so that's probably one of the things that's one of the first hurdles that we have to get past.
Well, honestly, I've come to agree with you. I used to blame schools all the time, but I've been on the other side of, serving on the Sherman Chiropractic Board and looking at the
Yeah.
things from a different vantage point. And like schools have to do a lot to get people to pass boards and so on.
Yes.
And there are problems in the educational system, but I don't know that preparing you to run a business is their role. And to be honest, running a business has a lot to it. So, and this is why people really do need guides in that area. It's more to it. And I mean, obvious there's reasons why people get business degrees, okay?
Yeah.
Why there's HR degrees and such like that, just learning how to coordinate people there's a degree in that, and chiropractic colleges can't give you that degree. They can give you some basic knowledge, which is helpful, but you need to get support, and you can learn a lot from listen to podcasts and read books. But at the same time, the essence of someone that has done that before. Dentists have the same challenge. Like you've got to learn a lot to be a dentist, right? And someone, a school saying, I'm going to teach you how to run, a dentist business. There's only so much that they can do, right?
Right.
So, and that's why I think, having a mentor or a guide, is really important. So then, why did you decide to become, a coach?
Well, I think a lot just like anything else in life, a lot has to do with the experience that I had. With this, the experience of opening my own my own practice, and seeing where people, like just going through the experience myself and knowing where people would need help, and then of course, just love for the profession. I think that I too often see really, really great chiropractors struggle, get tired, get burned out, hear it on Facebook in my female groups that I'm in, and that makes me sad. And it makes me sad. It makes me really sad because through my lens, chiropractic is very special. It's the only profession in the world that we can detect interference to the nervous system and remove that interference so a person's body can actually heal itself. Like that's such a miracle. And we're so unique in that. And so it upsets me when people struggle in business. And they're only struggling, they're great chiropractors, they're only struggling because they just don't have the skill set. Like it's that simple. I say there's a formula for success. Do you want to know my formula?
I'd love to know your formula.
It's really simple. It's just like basic math. It's having passion, purpose, and drive, plus a mentor to give you the skills equals success in a chiropractic practice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. So then, what's your philosophy on helping others in coaching?
So, can you ask me the question again? I want to make sure that I understand it.
What's your philosophy on coaching, guiding, mentoring others?
Well, I think, the very first thing that I want to make sure is that their chiropractic philosophy, first of all, is sound. Is that like the question that you're asking me?
Yeah, right.
Or yeah. I mean, that's the foundation. That's the base of everything. Is just making sure that you understand what chiropractic is and who you are as a chiropractor and what your role is as a chiropractor and what lane we're in as chiropractors. So I would say like that's probably the foundation of everything. And then from there, once we have that, that really helps to get people's passion and purpose back. Because sometimes when I get them, they're like a little bit like feeling defeated, right? You know,
Right.
and right, they're like a little bit feeling defeated. And so like the first thing that I like to do is I like to restart the fire, reignite the fire for chiropractic and for them being in the profession.
Right. Right. And then tell me a little bit about Thrive Mentoring.
Oh, Thrive is so cool. So it has three pillars. It has three pillars. The first pillar is all of the logistics that a person would need to open a practice, like how to find a practice, how to get money for your practice, how to design the office flow for a practice, how to come up with a fee structure, all of it.
Mhm.
So that's really the first pillar. So I literally hold, I don't take on a lot of clients on. Thrive is very different from like most other um business coaching companies because I don't take a lot of clients on because I literally hold their hand through the process of opening the practice.
Well, that's awesome. People need that.
Yeah, it's been great for people. And then as we start to get closer to their launch day, they go into the second pillar, which is all patient systems. Now, the other
Okay.
unique thing about Thrive is that the patient systems are based off of higher level communication skills that I've learned through literally investing hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn how to communicate with my community and how to lead them and how to like I love Roberto Monaco's, he calls his program influencing from the front, and that's really what
Right.
you're doing as a leader is you're influencing people. And
Mhm.
so there are principles, like you had said, it's an art. There are principles to this leadership and to this influence and to gaining influence in your practice and in your community. And so I teach them the principles, and once they know the principles, then they can actually create their own patient systems, meaning like you can have a 1 day system, a 2 day system, a 3 day system, a 4 day system, whatever aligns with you. So not all of our doctors are doing the same exact thing. They
Okay.
create what they want to create.
Well, that's wonderful. That's
I
wonderful.
teach them the principles behind it. And then the third pillar is back office. We call it the admin academy. And that's actually coached by my old clinic director, my old patient manager. Or not patient manager, clinic manager. She actually now works for Thrive, and she coaches all of our clients on anything administrative that they need to know. It could be things like helping them set up their EHR. It could be things like helping them create their care plan, like their financial care plans, how to calculate insurance contribution, all that kind of stuff.
Excellent. Excellent. So then, do you notice that people may have some skill sets? And obviously, we all grow in our philosophy, science, and art as chiropractors. We don't necessarily come out of school like rocking that, like some more than others, but there's a growth in that area. But do you notice that there's a gap between someone being a doctor and a business owner?
Oh, 1,000%. It's like it's not even a gap, Danny. It is like it's worlds apart. You actually even use two different parts of your brain. It's a completely different skill set. And like I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons why I help people open practices is because I've seen very good chiropractors, phenomenal chiropractors, and they just don't know how to run a business,
Right.
right?
Right.
Or chiropractors
Absolutely.
that are seeing high volume and they are and they can't afford their rents.
Right. Right. I see it all the time. And those
Yeah.
people that know philosophy really well, understand chiropractic really well, are excellent adjusters, and then they just can't even. It's sad. I find it heartbreaking because you have the most powerful healing art in your hands, in my opinion, on the planet, and in history, and then you can't pay your bills.
Right.
And you're right, you may be seeing a lot of people, and that's something that people need to be brought in to hey, I can help you, and I can guide you into something more so you can impact, more lives. Okay. So, and we're on the same page on that. So then particularly opening a practice. The people may need to grow in business sense as an associate, which you definitely need to do. But then what about just opening a practice? So what are some important things that you see as challenges for people commonly?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. Well, one of the first questions that I ask somebody when they come to me and they want to open a practice is I ask them why. Why do they want to open a practice? Because, you had just mentioned associates. And we need, as a profession, really good associates in our profession. And so my personal belief is that if you're a chiropractor, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a business owner,
Right.
right? And so, what the number one answer that I get when I ask people, why do you want to open your own business, is I want to make more money and I want to have more freedom. And I'm thinking, oh boy, we're going to be in trouble here, because when you first open your practice, you make no money
Right.
and you have zero freedom, right? In the beginning, of course. And
Right.
that all changes as you go along. But, I don't think money or freedom are really good reasons to want to become a business owner. I think you have to have more, there has to be some kind of passion or drive toward entrepreneurship. There has to be something inside people toward being an entrepreneur that makes them want to open a business. And I think that's one of the areas too, Danny, that I feel like we can do a little bit better in our profession is with our associates. So, I often hear, I hate this term. I often hear this saying that chiropractors eat their young. I hate that term. I just despise.
Yeah,
I despise it.
it really bothers me too. I
It
agree with you.
bothers me. Yeah, it bothers me. And so I think we need to, for the people who want to be entrepreneurs, the people that have that natural innate drive to be a business owner, a business leader, an entrepreneur, I think we need to help them get their practice to a place where they can truly afford to bring on good, high quality associates, and let the associates do the doctor part of their practice, which is what they went to school to do, which is
Right.
what they want to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so I know I'm not answering your question directly. I went off on a tangent a little bit, but I just think it's so important when people are thinking, should I stay in an associateship or should I open a practice? I think it's just so important that we really take a look at what is your why, what's your drive, what is your drive there, what's the fuel there?
Right. And I used to think that too, and the world changes and your perspective changes the longer, you go through life. And I had the thought of like, wow, I mean, I didn't want to do anything other than open a practice, and why would anybody want to do anything open a practice? And I have a different perspective now, saying, you know what? Just because someone wants to cook and be a chef does not mean they should open a restaurant,
Right.
or just because they bake and they're good at baking and love it and have a passion for it and went to school for it doesn't mean they should open a bakery, because there's a whole nother skill set in the business of running a bakery, for example. And there can be apprenticeships and so on. And yeah, it really super important to have that. And our profession does have to do a better job in that. So, I agree. So can people bridge the gap between being a business owner, right? That's one thing, and then an entrepreneur.
Well, it's a skill set.
Uh-huh.
You learn that, it's for me, it was just learning the skill set. It was just having a mentor to teach me the steps, teach me what I needed to know in order to run a practice successfully, to run a business successfully. And so, that's going to include everything from, how to attract people into your space, and how to communicate with them in a way that you create, like, I think of it like a garden, Danny, that you could just create this like beautiful garden of people. And in my mind's eye, I see like these beautiful flowers and these beautiful tulips of all different colors in my garden, and they're like really vibrant and really healthy. And that's what your practice is. Your practice is like a garden, and the people need to be fed. They need to be nourished. They certainly need to be well adjusted and well connected. And you have to pour into your people, right? Because that's they're coming to you, they're coming to your practice to be poured into, right? And so and then, like, I remember John used to have this saying. He'd be like, pick the weeds. Do you remember that from like 30 years ago? He'd say, pick the weeds. And I understand what John was saying is like you're really trying to create such a strong culture in this group of people that you call practice members, that every once in a while you'll get a bad like a bad seed or something, or like you just like, I never think that there are bad patients, by the way. Like, I don't buy into that, like, oh, I got this patient came to me from Facebook and they're like a bad lead or something. I don't believe there are any people that are bad practice members. I personally believe that we create our practice members, that how we nurture them and how we communicate with them is what you are going to create. And then your outcome is either going to be a practice full of people who are pain-based, so that every time they come in, they're like, doc, it hurts here, doc, it hurts here. Why isn't my pain going away? Or you're going to create a practice full of people that they get it, and they literally come in, they hand you their babies, and they say, can you check my son? Can you check my daughter for subluxation? And you have, you have a choice and you have control over that, but you do need to know the tools on how to get that outcome.
Well, yeah, and that's a thing that I heard this long ago. I might have heard it when we were working with John Madeira, maybe, but I don't. It was around that time frame where great, like, how do you get great patients? How do you get all the good new patients? Like, where do they come from? And it was like, well, they don't all hang out at a bar. There's not a bar where you can just, there's all the good new patients. It's your responsibility to grow them. You grow the great new patients, right? You have to, and I agree. And it is like gardening. It's like, what kind of garden do you grow? How do you put the water in? How do you get it the right sunshine? But that's something that you have to fuel. And at times there are weeds, right? And I didn't grow that or set the nutrition right, or, the sunshine right, or the, light correctly as well. And I have to do a better job in that area as compared to thinking they're a bad patient.
Exactly. And I know, like, there are just times where, like, I'll walk out of a room and I know, like, I'll take responsibility for myself, and either I was having not my best day, or I wasn't at my best, or I wasn't communicating at my best. And I know, like, it's my responsibility to nurture that patient.
Right. Exactly. So, again, so great to see you helping, more practices and more people to thrive. How do people get in touch with you?
Oh, so, well, they can go to our website. The website is pretty cool. It's thrivechirocoaching.com, thrivechirocoaching.com. Or you could just reach out to me through private messenger on Facebook, Nicole Bonner. And we also have a really good group on Facebook. It's a free Facebook group, and it's called Turning Students and Chiropractors into Business Owners. And so there's just a bunch of free, like, information on there, and it could be, there's information on how to open practices, there's information on communication, and there's information on admin stuff.
Excellent, excellent. Well, again, we used to help practices side by side, so I'm glad that you're doing this now. I've got to say, anytime that you can talk to Nicole Bonner, connect with her online, or see her on stage is going to be time well spent. She's incredibly knowledgeable, and she's an incredible gift to chiropractic and chiropractors, and I'm so grateful for all that you give to chiropractors and all that, the path that you ended up on, as compared to the other paths. 'Cause I know you're meant to give in this particular area. So, and I look forward to seeing you at Mile High. Like truly, why are you excited to be at Mile High? Because I don't think you've attended. I think this is your first time being there.
Oh, Danny, I was there a few years ago.
Oh, were you? I'm sorry. It's such a blur. Oh, come on.
I know, I'm
We're
teasing you.
getting older. We can't.
Oh, I'm teasing you. I'm teasing you. But no, I was there. I was there a few years ago, and actually I saw a bunch of people that I knew and reconnected with a lot of people from all over the world. And I also made some really good friends at Mile High. And so I'm super excited, not only for all of the speakers that are going to be there, and of course, all of the great knowledge that we're going to get that weekend, but I think I'm more even excited to connect with chiropractors from around the world. I think that's special.
I have to tell you, when I started putting on Mile High, like I was such a stickler. I want to watch exactly what people say. It's philosophically congruent, people that represent chiropractic the way I wanted to, and that there's good content. Like my mind was so on that, and it's still on that. I still think that's important. But every year I run into people like, oh, well, what'd you like about it? What was exciting about it? Because I want to hear feedback. I want to hear negative feedback too, so I know if there's something that we have to do better. But every single time, people don't tell me it was the speakers. People tell me exactly what you just said, that they love the people, they love being with other chiropractors, they like camaraderie and community. And I'm like, wow, I'm almost disappointed because I was like, but it was such a great presentation. But I mean, I love that people love the community, because I think that we need more than being in the four walls of our office.
Yeah. Amen. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, again, anytime you can connect with Dr. Nicole, please do. And we look forward to seeing you at Mile High, Nicole. And, everybody who's listening, definitely check out Being There, riseuptomilehigh.com. You're going to be glad you did. And keep changing spines, lives, and minds with chiropractic.